Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the McLeod County Board of Commissioners to order today on October 17th. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Begin our agenda today with consideration of agenda items. Is there any additions or corrections to today's agenda?
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Hearing none, move to approve.
And second.
We have a motion by Kruger, second by Schmaltz to approve today's agenda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
No changes, Mr. Chair.
Move consent agenda, Mr. Chair.
We have a motion by Schmaltz, second by Nagel to approve today's consent agenda. Is there any discussion? We'll then proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I just want to note that Commissioner Luthens is absent today and should be back for our next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Move into public hearing. Connie? Need a motion by Nagel to open public hearing. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Schmaltz. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Go
Good
ahead.
morning.
Morning.
The hearing notice was published in the McLeod County Chronicle on September 20th, 27th, October 4th, and 11th, which does satisfy the requirements for a public hearing. I did hand out some documents for the board, and those are the account activity and the assessment history spreadsheets. The account activity does highlight the 2023 repairs, which total $412,131. I do want to thank the drainage inspector and the SWCD staff for their diligence and maintenance with our drainage systems. They're always there for us, and they do a great job. The assessment history does contain data of the past 4 years for your review. The 2024 assessment may include projects that will be paid by the end of the year or throughout the year, and may include a small repair funding for upcoming 2024 projects. The 2024 assessment amounts were arrived at in consultation with the drainage inspectors, the drainage administrator, and myself. Next, I will provide the assessments by drainage system. Please add comments or suggestions as you wish. When we've completed with board discussion and public comment, I will take one motion, please. Okay, so here we go. CD5, 15,500, 1 year. CD5, 30,000, 1 year. CD10, 2,500, 1 year. CD11, 2,200, 1 year. CD12, 40,000, 1 year. CD13, 22,000, 1 year. CD16, 14,000, 1 year. CD21, 10,000, 1 year. CD22, 12,000, 1 year. CD25, 6,711, 1 year. CD28, 30,000, 1 year. CD29, 10,000, 1 year. CD64, 40,000, 1 year. JD4, McLeod Renville, 20,000, 1 year. JD5, Carver McLeod, 2,000, 1 year. JD5, Sibley McLeod, 4,000, 1 year. Sorry, turn my page. JD9, McLeod, $33,200, 1 year. JD11, Sibley McLeod, lateral O, 500, 1 year. JD15, McLeod Sibley, 21,200, 1 year. JD17, McLeod Sibley, 12,000, 1 year. JD18, Sibley McLeod, 75,000, 1 year. JD19, Sibley McLeod, $38,093.32, and that's a 5-year. JD24, Sibley McLeod Renville, 20,000, 1 year. JD28, McLeod Carver, 7,500, 1 year. JD15, Renville Sibley McLeod, $2,508.55, and that's a 5-year. JD 65, Sibley McLeod, $250, a 1-year. And JD 111, McLeod Wright, $30,000, 1 year. The total is $501,162.87. Questions, comments?
So at this point, we're either looking for either any questions or comments for Auditor Treasurer's Office. If we need to bring in our ditch inspector, we can. Or I believe the next action item would be to approve the levies and assessments as Auditor Treasurer has indicated.
And then we will take public comment too.
What's that?
And then we will need to take public comment also.
Anything from the board before we move into public comment? Okay, anyone wish to address the board? Just need to state your name, please, and then go ahead with your
James
comments.
Steinbach, Collins Township. First of all, I want to thank the 3 board members on Ditch Authority back in September 8 for denying that petition. I think that they stood up for the landowners, and they did a good job in it. And that's what I want to do. Thank Doug Kruger, Daryl Lutens, and Doug Erickson of Bremen County, because they stop corruption. Okay. Then what I'm here for is that I was on the website, and this is concerning me. McLeod County's Soil and Water Conservation Department supervisors. Right on the page here, they got 2 districts what are under District 3, South Fork, Crow River, 1 water plan, and District 5, North Fork, 1 water, 1 plan. That's all along the western part of McLeod County with the neighboring district. And what bothers me is that when Joe Nagel and you guys signed the joint powers agreement back in 2017, those electric boards got authority to levy. And we want to know what this plan is. All in your district, you've got 4 townships.
Yep.
We want to know what the plan is.
The plan of the one watershed, one plan, is that?
Yeah, you got it right on here. We want to know what the landowners need to know what you guys are going to do. And that's our right.
We don't have living authority on there, do we?
I think you do have some facts mixed up.
What's this?
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
the one watershed, one plan, I'm in 3 of them, and I'm not, today I'm not going to say whether I'm for or against them, but that's separate, that really is separate from this. I mean, this is not, there's no levying authority to one watershed, one plan. It's all, that's run by Bowser,
Well,
Board of Water and Soils.
who's going to be in charge of implementing it then? Bowser?
Pretty much.
So, and that's
I mean,
why.
they're going to dictate to us I mean, I'm on 3 boards for one watershed, one plan, and they're gathering information, and they're tying it to the money. They're tying it to money to do projects, and that's really why. And I have no trouble talking about that, and the best is to go on a website and watch for our One Watershed, One Plan meetings. They're all done through watersheds. I mean, Buffalo Creek will be having it, there'll be another One Watershed, One Plan coming out of there, and there's all kinds of chance for public input into those plans through those associate. We don't, I don't know, you can help me, Paul, if you want to. We don't specifically as a board, we look at their adopted program, or their, what's the right word? We go through to have the plan. We look through the plan. But there's no levying authority.
Well,
None, and there's no specific thing to any one ditch.
what I'm getting at is that when that was signed, that joint powers was signed, the Minnesota statute 471.59 is the governing of the agreement. And nobody read it over, and it's hard to read through because a bunch of lawyers put words backwards and forwards, and you can't see through it. But there's a lot in there what takes our rights away. And everybody needs to read into that.
There's a lot in it. There is a lot in it. I've read them, and I mean, a lot of it's redundant, but it's all, this is it's another plan Bowser runs the plan, runs this program. And it tells you what we can do, but, and I'll go through, I wouldn't say I love to, but I would go through some of this stuff anytime you want to, but for today, we're trying to just set our assessments in this open hearing. That's a separate subject, and there's a lot of questions there to be answered, but there's been a lot of hearings on One Watershed, One Plan. Like I said, I'm on the North Fork, and I'm on down here in Sibley County, another one. And, there's a lot of information to digest, and the best thing to do is to come to some of the meetings.
Right. Well, what I'm getting at is 1, 2, and 4, they don't have it on theirs. They're not on only those 2.
For that watershed, for that watershed, one plan, there's more of them.
Right.
I'm not saying how I like it and how I don't, but they're gonna be through the whole state of Minnesota. They're almost done already. That they're all run. They're collecting a lot of information on, we have them way up north, way down south. Started with the root in southwestern Minnesota.
See, most landowners don't understand how much rights they gave up with that darn buffer strip, how it was implemented. That is the problem. There was a lot of rights given away, and these landowners are unknown what's going on. I understand it, and it's not good. You cannot give your rights to a government like what was taken here and expect no agreement was with the landowners. It was take. We never had no agreement. I asked for agreements. They wouldn't give it to you. When you deal with interest in land, you got to protect. The landowners have to protect their land. And in the state of Minnesota, basically, let me explain this to you. There's only 3 components to a title: interest, rights, and possession. That's all you got. Back when the forefathers set this all up, they gave a land patent and a homestead right to protect you against government infringing on your property rights. That was set up on the first deed, or first owner had those privileges, and nobody brought it forward. And it's because of the system of 1846, the administration Act, they took it over, they put a warranty deed that was supposed to replace the land, and that's wrong. I got a lot more, but I'm not gonna go into it today because this is, we need to see the plan, because we lost our interest on that buffer strip. All these landowners lost their interest in their property. And I'm willing to sit
That
down.
plan, Jim, that plan you can get from Corey or Ryan anytime.
What plan?
They've got it, the one watershed, one plan for actually for all of them that McLeod County are in. You're
Right.
in one that is not the same as some of the others. The plans are almost the same. Again, I mean, there's so much, I don't disagree with a lot of your saying, but that doesn't really, I mean, with all due respect, it doesn't pertain to what we're trying to do today.
Yes, I understand. Only one comment yet?
Personally, I expected a lawsuit on the buffer strips, never got one. I mean,
You know why? I'll tell you why. Because no lawyer would take them.
oh, there's lawyers that'll take it, but
No.
if you got enough money to spend.
No, they wouldn't take them. I hired lawyers. When they called the county attorney here, the game was done. They wouldn't represent nobody. They wouldn't represent me. That's what's going on. And I talked to landowners too. They said the same thing. No lawyer will take it. Maybe there's some lawyers in the cities will take it, but not out here. Thank you.
So there's a lot of differences between what we're here to do today, looking at ditch levies, and when we talk about the one watershed, one plan, I know the one that I chair, which is the South Fork, is currently in its final review. There has definitely, over the last approximately year and a half of that process, been a number of landowners that have attended those meetings in every attempt to get public input, and it has everything to do with funding through Bowser, not regulating ditches. So there's a clear definition between what goes on there. So.
Mr. Chair, I would encourage, have you had your public comment period yet? There's a
We're in
couple
the
of-
final, we're in the
Yeah,
final, so.
Okay, so there'll be an open house coming up as well, or when they final thing, or has that been had already? I mean, these
There
things
is.
have been had, and I emphasize, whether you're for them or not, that's not the point. There is plenty of room for public opinion, and that's where it needs to be. This is something that we participate in, but that's not really in our control. That's a whole nother board, but they do not have a levying authority. It's all through funding, actually funding through Bowser. Jim, I appreciate it all, but we really got to get through this today. But I would encourage everybody to watch them watershed, and you don't have to necessarily just be your watershed. Nobody comes. I don't know what to say. Nobody comes.
Okay, so the intent of our public hearing is on the ditch levies and assessments. Is there any further comments, questions from the board, or comments from the public addressing the ditch levies and assessments for this today?
Mr. Chair, and Connie, this hearing is basically to approve the report you just gave. And I obviously, I'm not up on every one of them, but I didn't see any inconsistencies with any of the money, and that's kind of what we're here to do today. I mean, no matter what, we got to keep our ditches in order, so.
Correct.
If everyone feels that it is in order, then we'll be looking for a motion to approve the levies and assessments by our auditor's treasurer's office at the amount of $501,162.87. Would that be the correct language of the motion, Connie?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Kruger, second by Schmaltz to approve today's levies as stated by our auditor treasurer at the amount of $501,162.87. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yep.
The only thing I just reiterate, because of the earlier discussions, this is, that I'm aware of, and I hope I'm not wrong, this is the only levies that you should have against your ditch system. There shouldn't be, Buffalo Creek has, it's all should be outlined in there, but to your specific ditch, this is the only levy that should be against it, because it's actually your ditch, and the monies are collected to repair that ditch or maintain it.
So if anyone is interested in the contents of the One Watershed, One Plan, you can find them on the McLeod County website through the services One Watershed, One Plan within the 60-day review. So it is definitely there. And through all of these planning sessions, there's been a lot of effort to get public input. And the public has been showing up that have been listening to how this has been developing, so.
And then also, just to clarify, this is Resolution 23 CB 46.
I just include that in my motion, that it's
And my second as well.
Resolution
Okay, all right.
23 CB 46.
Be included, be noted. Okay, go ahead with your next item then. What?
Do we have to vote on it?
Did you vote?
Oh, that you were correct. I better not forget that part. So, the resolution number then will be 23 CB 46. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Okay, so the final piece of this hearing is to set the 2024 interest rate on loans from the general fund for the systems that are in deficit. This is to safeguard that a general taxpayer isn't funding the system through their county tax payments. And for reference, in 2023, the McLeod interest rate was set at 3%. In 2023, neighboring counties' interest rates were 4.5, 4, 3, and 2.5. And 2024 neighboring counties' anticipated interest rates, this would be of the drainage inspector or auditor treasurer, whomever I got a hold of. This is not a board member. They are 4.5, 5, 3, and 3. That's what will be recommended by them. So the recommendation of the McLeod County Finance Director and me is that the 2024 general fund loan interest rate would be at 4%, as interest rates have and continue to rise.
Mr. Chair. And you're comfortable with the 4%? I mean, I'll be honest, not that I was actually thinking on the level of talking to other counties, is looking at 4.5. But are you comfortable with the 4% to cover our?
Well, Colleen did say 4.5 or 4, so since we were at 3, I chose 4, but 4.5 is in line with, the other counties.
Well, and I'm just, for conversation purposes, I just want to make sure that we're, I mean, I don't like the interest rates going up more than anybody else. Now, what does this cover? Does this cover this whole balance? Or, I mean, what interest change this cover? The whole thing?
So for systems that are in a deficit, they are borrowed from the McLeod County General Fund, and that's to pay the McLeod County General Fund the money back. On your sheet, actually, there is a row or a column of people who have general fund loans.
And that was my question. That changes then. If when we change the interest, these are based on every year that we set them. Is that correct?
Right. So currently, there are 8 county ditch systems that have loans, and 9 joint. And Colleen does make payments throughout the year, as there are funds, as tax payments come in and as there are funds available.
Mr.
Well,
Chair?
my question, excuse me, is I want to make sure that we're at we don't need to make money. I want to make sure because the whole county's paying for these systems. And if we're making it on 4%, I'm all right with that. But if we're not, it's not fair to charge people interest, or, that it costs the county interest to make these payments. And that's where I was going. And if the 4% is making it, I don't have a problem with that. I was not sure it was.
I think 4% is sufficient.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
And Treasurer Auditor Connie, thank you for bringing the data forward, and especially the data comparing us to our neighboring counties as well. In discussions I've had with our finance director, I believe that the indication is with the rates that she can earn today with our investments, I mean, we are in excess of 5%, I believe, with some of those. And one thing I want to kind of verify for myself is the option to, shall we say, pay or make payments is a landowner option, correct? I mean, they can prepay and pay off these quantities without entering the payment schedule on the county and paying interest. Am I correct on that?
Well, right, to clarify what you said, the assessments that I read off, there were only 2 that were multi-years, and those were due to, I believe, redeterminations, and those interest rates are set on those at that time. All of the others that I read to you are one-year assessments, so there were no interest, there will be no interest on a one-year assessment. That is just continued on multi-years. But we're talking about if they make repairs throughout the year, and then and I don't have enough in their fund, because we don't carry large balances on our drainage systems. We've gotten better, and, you know, we do have some balances. We're not all in the red anymore, but that's to carry when they go below and they need a loan from the general fund.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Connie, that helps me, Mr. Chair.
Mr.
We're
Chair.
looking for a number. So-
Mr. Chair, hearing the information I've had, I guess I'm now comfortable in the 4%, so I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion setting the 2024 drainage assessment interest at 4%. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a second by Schmaltz. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll now need a motion to close the public hearing unless you have anything else, Connie, you don't?
No, that was it. Thank you very much.
Looking for a motion to close?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? I can second that. Motion by Kruger, second by Wright to close the public hearing on drainage assessments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Veteran Services. Go ahead.
For me, Doug? You have a couple?
What do you want, Warren?
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Jim Mintinger. I'm the chairman of the steering committee for Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, McLeod County. I'm going to give the annual review. Bike rims were donated by the DAV Chapter 37 for the McLeod County Beyond the Yellow Ribbon to present to graduating seniors in the high schools in McLeod County, Hudson, Lester, Prairie, and Glencoe. This year, I had the honor of personally presenting the 3 pins to the 3 seniors here in Glencoe at the graduation ceremony. I've been in touch with the other 2 schools, Hudson and Lester Prairie, and I plan to do that next year too, to give it a more personal touch. On August 20th of this year, we had the 9th annual Welcome Home recognition event at the McLeod County Fair. Stakeholders, 15 businesses and organizations donated gifts and gift cards, and 16 McLeod County employees also contribute to the 5 gift bags that we handed out. We have 5 veterans this year coming home from deployment. Last year, we had 17. This coming year, I think we're going to have between 5 to 7. And then in 25, we're going to be hit again with another large deployment. So those numbers will be up again. AVSO Brianna Lauer gave out the gift bags. Because of confidentiality rules, I'm not allowed to do that or know their names. Last year, our secretary position was vacant. I believe it was in February. Kurt Ladine, who is a member of the Post 95, agreed to be my secretary. and it was a great help, and I'm very thankful for him for agreeing to take the position. We have moved our meetings to quarterly unless we need for some reason, special event or whatever. My biggest task for the rest of this year, beginning of next year, is trying to get more interest in Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, trying to get more people to come to our meetings and try to get the stakeholders more involved. So are there any questions?
Mr. Chair, I'm pretty well informed, so I'll let some of the other board members, if they're, we've participated, or I have, through the Legion at the ceremonies at the fair on the last day when they do recognize veterans. But if some of the others have some, it's a great program, and like everything else, it's just hard, super hard to get people or volunteer, even membership within it. We've become a society that, we just don't do that anymore, so.
I did see a small trend this year with some of the organizations that have been giving year after year. They have reduced a little bit their donations because I figured that was because of the inflation and economic situation that some of these smaller businesses are facing. So I hope to work with them in the future.
And for us, as far as, Mr. Chair, as far as veteran services, there's a change. Jim and I are more in the senior citizen type end of the veterans, but we have, I think in McLeod, we've done pretty good with our service officers, giving a younger representation and make it a little easier. There's, just like every other, from World War I, II, Korea, all the way through, there's always been Vietnam, there's been a split between the veterans themselves, and I think we've got a good group of people now that at least realize what we have to go through, and I'm hoping for the best. I don't know what else to say. I think we as a county, I'm pretty proud of what we've done with our service office.
I'm a vice commander with the Legion in the 5th District. I was also chaplain for 2 years. I have gone to all parts of the state for conventions, workshops, whatever. And talking to other people, I think McLeod County probably has one of the better services in the state of Minnesota. In some counties, they're Beyond the Yellow Ribbon, take care of what our Veterans Association takes care of. They have to take care of that. So we do a really, really great job here in McLeod County.
Mr. Chair. First off, I want to thank you for your service and what you do for McLeod County and the veterans of McLeod County. I also want to thank those who serve and are serving to keep our country safe and to keep it and hold its values for what we all believe in. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for coming here today. This board has always held our veterans very, very high. Even when you look at how we put together a new government center, the very first office in front is there to serve our veterans. So,
Yep.
So thank you for what you do.
Thank you guys for all your support throughout the years. Our veterans really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. Have a good day.
Okay. Next report. Next up will be Sheriff's Office.
Good morning.
Morning.
Here is seek permission to donate 15 automatic external defibrillators, or AEDs, to businesses and organizations that are located within McLeod County. These AEDs were from the McLeod County Sheriff's Office vehicles and are no longer needed. the sheriff's office actually did get replacement AEDs from the Leona M. and Harry B. Helmsley Charitable Trust earlier this year. So being that we did not need them, we want to repurpose them and give them back to our communities. We have a little bit of a application process or some information, some press release information we'll be giving out, gathering information, and then making determinations on who gets what, so.
Mr. Chair, I will move request as asked.
I'll second it.
Okay. We have a motion by Schmal, second by Kruger to approve to donate 15 unused automatic external defibrillators. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Kevin, it's a good idea. When I first seen it, I was a little puzzled, but then when I looked through everything, it's a great idea to do that. And I've seen in other communities where now with these defibrillators put somewhere, there's actually a sign on the street that it, or, you know, obviously if a traveler has an issue, there's a sign on the street telling where would something like that be pursued when these defibrillators get put out, possibly? Or, and again, it's just a thought.
Yeah, that would be up to each business or organization to kind of advertise or where they have their defibrillators and where they store them. I would be willing to work with them when we do give them out to, you know, provide them guidance on kind of maybe where the best spots would be to put them or something like that. Or we can always have them contact their first responders in their jurisdictions as well. So.
Yeah, from the ones I've seen, they're all the same. I mean, they're kind of an eye-catching, it's not a very big sign, but it's an eye-catching sign that I don't know if the state or the first responders approved them or whatever, but no, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Mr.
thank you.
Chair,
Go ahead.
I just want to note that in my past work with safety, the defibrillators do hold some liability. And I know that Kevin has to go around and check all of them and make sure that they're up to date, that the software updates are completed. So I think part of the donation would also be to carry that liability onto the people receiving them. So to extend Kevin's work to go and help them afterward might be an additional strain on his time. So just to take that into consideration because they do date out.
Yeah, that was my question too, Kevin. What is the plan with that? Because they do expire, right? I mean, and where they're at. So what is your plan with that as they age out, or is it just going to be purely to the business after this to maintain them and update them, or what is your plan with that?
The plan is to notify them when we do get them to make sure that, you know, the pads do expire from this point. In fact, some of the pads and batteries are kind of expired at this point, so they're taking it kind of as is kind of condition. So I think from this point forward, they would be responsible to keep up the pads and batteries up to them. And I do have some information as far as that applicant information that does kind of explain that.
And in addition to that, you talk about how some of them aren't being serviced anymore, right? They're good today, but I mean, that's technology, anything, right? They're just not,
Exactly.
they're not supporting them as the new versions come out. So just so that everybody's aware of all of that comes with it, but it's a good idea no matter what.
Yeah, and I think the defibs that we're giving away of roughly about, I think the newest ones are probably 3 to 4 years old, as well as sometimes they go to about 10 or 12 years old. So some of them have been around a little bit longer, and some of them have been around a little bit newer. Some of the newer ones we did keep within the county, so we gave, I think, 2 or 3 to the Veteran Services offices, so they have them all in their vans, as well as Public Works, too. We gave some to Public Works, so they have those in more of their vehicles that are out and about as well, so.
Good idea.
Okay, any further comments? We'll then proceed to vote on the motion to approve the request to donate 15 unused automatic external defibrillators. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Call on building maintenance. Mr. Bauer.
Good morning.
Morning.
First item, A, consider approving a quote from Foster Mechanical for a new air conditioning and heating unit in the jail control room at a cost of $7,410 with funds from the courthouse building budget 01111.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Nagel, second by Kruger to approve the quote from Foster Mechanical for new air conditioning and heating unit at a cost of $7,410. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
I apologize for not checking in sooner. Is this, we just had an issue with one here the other meeting or two ago up at the, something leaking, was this the same thing? Is this?
It's not, no, not the same unit.
Mr. Chair, that was a water heater.
Well, I was
Oh, yeah,
wondering.
yep,
Okay,
that
well,
was-
thank you.
Thank you.
It's fine, stuff's aging.
Any further questions or comments? We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B.
Consider approving a snow removal contract with New Barth Landscaping for the courthouse and law enforcement center, government center, and Glencoe Area Transportation Service Facility for snow seasons in fall 2023 through spring 2025 with funds from the courthouse building budget, government center budget, and highway equipment maintenance budget. 6 vendors were solicited, and New Barth was the only bidder. New Barth's bids for Glencoe facilities are $510 per clearing for light snow, $745 per clearing for heavy snow, $320 per salt application, and $430 per clearing of sidewalks.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Is there a second?
Contract.
We have a motion by Kruger, second by Nagel, to approve the contract with New Barth Landscaping for snow removal. Is there any further discussion, comments?
Mr. Chair, just that all procedures were followed. I mean, you can't make people,
No.
I mean, I'm satisfied with the service, but I mean, you can't make people bid, and that's, everything was followed from what I've seen, so.
Okay. Any further discussion? We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C.
All right, item C, consider approving a snow removal contract with New Barth Landscaping for McLeod County Environmental Services Facility in Hutchinson, snow seasons, fall 2023 through spring 2025, with funds from the 01-114 account. I believe it says various accounts, but.
Mr. Chair, move request.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Schmal, second by Kruger, to approve the second snow removal contract with New Barth Landscaping. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Health and Human Services.
Good morning.
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 I have 2 items for you today. The first is to consider approving a request from the Southwest 18 Minnesota Adult Mental Health Consortium, also known as SMOC, or sometimes referred to as the Southwest 18, for McLeod County to contribute a one-time $20,000 membership fee with funds from actually a reserve account, which is 11-450. Historically, SMOC has had reserves to assist with cash flow at times when the consortium was waiting for the State Department to reimburse costs submitted. Over time, they have tapped the reserves to pay for services and programs and now rely solely on the state's block grant. Each county partner is being asked to help by adding county dollars to a special reserve fund for times when the consortium is not reimbursed in a timely manner or a cash advance by the state is not available or allowed. I just believe that this will be a one-time ask for all member counties and not a routine ask. The county would get these dollars back if a solution is found or when the consortium disbands.
Brett, if I may,
Yes.
we have account 430, you said account 450.
Yep.
I just don't want Colleen mad at us.
No,
so-
and I confirm this with Colleen, thank you. So we have a reserve account. So if you'll recall, we contract with SMOC, or SMOC contracts with us to employ 2 regional housing specialists. They are employees of McLeod County. We get 5% from SMOC above salary and benefits, and that has been put in this reserve account since 2016. So we have a healthy balance in that reserve account. Connected with Colleen yesterday, she said, why don't we take it out of here?
So
It's
450 is the number.
11,450, thank you.
All right. And so when was the last one time?
We haven't,
We haven't.
no.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Nagel, I was a little bit troubled by that, and I mean, not with McLeod County, I think McLeod's doing just fine, but I don't trust one-time,
It's hard to-
one-time payments, and I mean, the state is wiggling out, and I don't know about the verbiage. I mean, I'd have to ask Ryan, but, I mean, I guess I would go along with I don't know if we should phrase it to the 1 year, just pay the 20,000 right now, because we'll be going back into that. Unless you guys are comfortable with the one time, I am too, but if they ask again, we're gonna come, you know, we can hold on this motion and say, no, it was one time.
Well, we can hold on the next motion too, right?
Sure.
Yeah, but,
No,
I
it's
mean,
up to you. I'm troubled by,
no, it makes me
by
feel
the
more.
state trying to get out of some of their, their payments. That bothers me.
Well, it becomes that unfunded mandate
Yeah.
conversation, and, but I'm encouraged that this hasn't happened before, so.
Yeah, and this doesn't, I mean, this isn't the greatest solution. The board knows that, the executive board knows that. Commissioner Luthen sits on the Joint Powers Board for the Southwest 18. They will continue to try to work with DHS to get payment on time. I mean, that this isn't the best solution, but we've been trying to do that for years with no luck. That doesn't mean we're not going to continue to try to do that, because that's where the issue lies.
Is AMC weighing in on that at all? Do you know?
They are, yeah, they are.
All right.
Mr. Chair, too, and that's why I gave credit to McLeod. We did what we're supposed to do. We had reserves for this. We could technically pay our own, but I mean, I would say they should take notice that we were ready for this, so.
Yeah, luckily we had those reserve funds, absolutely. Other counties are, going to have the same ask, and they're going to struggle.
So, and I appreciate that, but we're not going to get any, everybody's going to pony up, you think?
We'll have to see. That is the ask. If that doesn't happen, we'll have to look at other options next time. So we will not be paying, if you approve this today, gentlemen, we will not be paying that 20,000 until all 18 have agreed.
Then I'm comfortable with that. With that, I'll move to approve.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Nagel, second by Kruger, to approve a request of the Southwest 18 Minnesota Adult Mental Health Consortium to contribute a one-time $20,000 membership fees with funds coming from budget 11-450. Any further discussion on the motion?
Mr. Chair?
But
Not other than, it's not in the motion, but I mean, I appreciated Barrett's, if all 18 don't pay, it's a no,
It's all or nothing, yep. So depending upon what other counties say, I might come back with some sort of a different ask.
any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item
Thank
B.
you. Item 2, consider approving a service contract with Woodland Centers to provide adult crisis stabilization and youth crisis stabilization with those units, to provide adult residential crisis and youth residential crisis services for the period of January 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, with funds from the Individual and Family Services Budget 11-430. Services will be provided at a per diem rate of $485 for adult residential crisis services and $675 for youth residential crisis services, along with an annual administrative fee of $3,000. The per diem rate equates to a daily rate, and these rates will increase if the contract is not signed and the administrative fee is not paid by February 1st of 2024. Woodland Centers recently announced that it is closing its detoxification services at the end of 2024, so you will not find these services in our agreement for 2024, which you have seen in the past. The 2024 per diem rates are approximately 2.3% increase over our current 2023 contract rates. The annual administrative fee remains the same as previous years.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
With that information about the detox piece, are we starting now to research how that's gonna look for our county and what facilities we can utilize for that?
Yeah, to be honest, we utilize Woodland Centers probably the least.
Yeah, and I do know that, but
Yes.
it does get utilized.
It does get utilized,
So
yeah.
that's another, taxing issue for a lot of different
It is. Yes.
entities of the county. So, I guess if you my ask is a little off the topic here, is that we start looking now, so we're not chasing it
You got it.
any longer than we have to.
Yep.
But with that, I would move to approve the contract with Woodland Center.
And I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion by Nagel, a second by Schmaltz to approve a service contract with Woodland Centers to provide adult and youth residential crisis services. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
before Barrett goes, and we always say we don't put department heads on the spot, Paul did it 2 weeks ago, I'm going to do it today. So the ECRJC, which is the Anoka Juvenile Center that we contracted with for the bed, first of the year, give or take, I can't remember now. Time flies.
Yes, first of the year. It
Time
does.
flies.
Yep.
We had a meeting last week. I was double booked. I went to log on at the very end, had some struggles, and by the time I got on, they were adjourning. So Barrett, can you, because it's an important deal, can you just give a quick synopsis of how that meeting went? And
Sure,
so that-
yep.
So that
Thank-
we can all do it versus me trying to read the minutes to everybody.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner. So that contracting with Anoka County to provide the services was actually brought to us by Susan Sumnick, a probation officer, just because it's really difficult if you're not a member county to find placement. And so by being a member county, we get priority. We can bump other counties to be able to bring our youth there. And so we pay, board approved, we pay a certain amount annually for, I think we've either got 1 or 2 beds. Do you remember, Commissioner? 1. Yes, we have 1 bed. And so basically, we pay a set amount, and we can have someone, a youth in that facility for 365 days, 1 bed. So it can be, we can use 365 days with 1 person, 2 people, however we use those. And so we're saving dollars by doing that. At the year end, I'll be able to come back and say, we save dollars by having that member contract with them. At this last meeting that Commissioner Nagel missed, we did vote on increasing that rate for next year, but it was laid out as to why that would be, and it's still going to be a cost savings for McLeod County.
All right, thank you. And then at some point, there probably will be discussion whether we up that to the 2-bed or.
Right.
Because I believe it's 1 bed.
You are right.
99%
Yep.
sure is what we did, and so I don't know, we'll have to rely on probation in the courts and whoever to, probably, and of course you to give us some direction on that. But it has been, unfortunately, a good investment for us.
Right.
But it's been utilized, at least from my understanding.
Yep, it has been. And we, at the meeting last week, we did talk about other counties want in. They want to become members too. And as a joint powers board, it was decided that we're not ready to do that yet because we want those beds for the member counties currently. So that'll be considered too at some point.
Thank you, that'll shorten my calendar talk too, so that'll make everybody else happy.
Happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Public Works.
Good morning.
Morning.
Consider reapproving the MnDOT Cooperative Construction Agreement 105-3491 and corresponding resolution CB 48, or 23 CB 48 for the Trunk Highway 212 and County State Aid Highway or Morningside Avenue Roundabout Project in the city of Glencoe for a cost of $1,469,908.57 from the highway construction budget. This is for the Morningside 212 project. McLeod County was awarded $400,000 in federal highway safety improvement funds and then $750,000 in county surface transportation block grant funds through federal aid to help pay for our costs of the roundabout. This resolution was brought to the county board, or this agreement was brought to the county board on September 19th and approved with resolution 23CB43. On September 20th, MnDOT updated the agreement. Just some minor updates, didn't affect our cost share at all, but due to the dates on things, this agreement needs to be reapproved.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
I have talked with Andrew quite a bit about this, and it's everything, in my opinion, is okay. I questioned why we had to do it again when the numbers were all the same, and he just answered that question. And then I would just like to point out that this kind of, in my opinion, finishes up the Morningside project, because that's where the two come together. So if there's any concerns there by the city, by anybody, they need to let myself or Andrew or somebody know. I don't see any problems, but there were some things in there that were in the early plans of Morningside, so before before we actually start work, if there's any big concerns, I'd appreciate it, hearing about them. But right now, it all looks good. I mean, there's a number of people would have liked to have a bigger roundabout that was not on the table. Where the state has kind of told us what they will fund, and that's kind of what we're I don't want to say stuck with. That's what we're going to get, and I'm with safety concerns, it's well needed and overdue. So for that, with that, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have a motion by Kruger, second by Schmaltz to approve the Minnesota Department of Transportation Cooperative Construction Agreement 1053491 and corresponding resolution 23 CB 48 for Trunk Highway 212 and County State Aid 15. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
And Andrew, are these hard numbers now, or are these still subject to change with contract letting
Yep,
for the project?
These numbers are subject to change. These are based off of the engineer's estimate. They will be updated to the Schedule K, which is updated based off of contract bid price, and then, of course, any change orders that occur throughout the project. So price could come up, could come down slightly. Just looking at the estimated costs on this one, I think we're probably in the coming down range.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
All right. Consider approving a $9,700 estimate from Thine Moving Company of Clare City and a $24,706.40 estimate from Shower and Sons Construction of Glencoe, Minnesota for a total cost of $34,406.40 to relocate the children's barnyard with funds from the Fairgrounds budget 25-117. With the proposed new building at the Fairgrounds, the new small animal show arena, the children's barnyard needs to be moved from its current location. The Fair Commission and the Fair Board have had many discussions on this item and have determined the best way to move forward with that building is to repurpose it on the grounds. That building will be moved out into the grandstand's infield behind the announcer stand to kind of meet the need for a concession stand type building that has been wanted out there for years. So this project would start going this fall yet, get that building, the children's barnyard moved so that we're ready for construction for the new show arena. We received two estimates for the building, however, only one was received for the work of prepping the building and removal, pouring the slab at the new location and securing the building to the slab. We reached out to multiple contractors. One was unable to perform the work this year, and the other contractor never provided us with an estimate.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
My calendar's gonna be done here in a second, but, so with this, the Fair Commission did recommend the approval based on the future plans for this. I was personally surprised the cost to move the building, but I quickly learned that I shouldn't be. That's what it does cost to do that. And Andrew referenced it. This is the slab. If I screw this up, stop me. This is the slab and the prep work and everything for this. So it's a, pretty hard number where we're at for it. The grandstand committee has been, at least to me, leaning on us for some improvements there, and specifically a concession stand in the middle for events, tractor pull, and whatever else. Makes good sense. The building's good. I mean, and it makes sense to keep it within the campus. So I'll stop short of the motion in case anybody else has any questions, but the due diligence was sure done on this. So, thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I'll move to approve.
The motion by Nagel, we have a second by Kruger to approve $34,406.40 to relocate the Children's Barnyard Building with funds from the fairgrounds budget. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up, Attorney's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one short item for the board to consider today. I'm asking for direction on considering scheduling an annual review for county administrator to be set for a closed meeting on December 19, 2023. As you all are aware, my office, the county attorney, has historically performed this review, so I would just be looking to continue with that process this year if you were so interested, and have identified December 19th as a date that should work for the meeting. So just looking for direction on that.
Any suggestions? Anyone?
Fine with me. Do we need a formal motion to set that, or just put it on the calendar and that as a schedule?
I think on the calendar is probably good enough.
Okay, and then any change in format or anything that you'd like me to consider from past years? Otherwise, I anticipate it looking similar to than it has in the past.
Very good.
Okay.
Nothing else needed here. Thank you.
Okay. Move on to then county administration, begin with commissioners' calendars. Commissioner Nagel?
Mr. Chair, the Fair Commission was covered briefly, but in addition to that, the inner ring road work is underway. Andrew can cover that more with you if you want, but the utilities have been piped in and planning for the future as we go through that. We haven't put any asphalt down though, right, yet? Obviously, the final lift will be next spring, but anything this year yet?
Yep, curb and gutter and concrete work's going to happen later this week, Thursday, Friday this week, and then the first lift of bituminous pavement next week
Okay.
is what the schedule's looking like at this point.
And then the only other thing I want to bring up, just to put it on everybody's radar, is the continuous talk about roofs, those big tin buildings and leaks that occur there. We don't have any numbers, unless they came in the last week.
No.
I don't have any numbers to provide for you, but those are things that we're going to have to continue to discuss as we maintain it. And then just to wrap up my calendar, the Personnel Committee throughout the last couple of weeks addressed some items, one of which we'll talk about here in a little bit. And then thanks to the Highway Department, we had an unexpected ditch issue in the district that I represent, and they handled it with quality, professionalism. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Since the last time we met, really didn't have a lot of formal meetings, but there were some follow-up events with 4-H Week since the last time we got together. I've also been keeping contact with our projects at the fairgrounds. There's been a number of questions that have come up, and just being able to watch how that Inner Ring Road project is going, and continue to take some comments and discussion about our new building project to make sure that everybody is on board with that as we're kind of starting to get to that final draft of what we're going to pursue. But this has allowed me to spend a little more time with fall harvest, I guess, as well. So, Commissioner Kruger?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since our last meeting, we had our workshop after the last meeting, and on the 19th, I had an MRC, Minnesota Rural Counties Board meeting in Alexandria. A whole host of different priorities were discussed on priorities coming down for the legislature, including solid waste, county aid, transportation, the usuals, but trying to compromise on staying with 2 or 3 that are chances of getting some change rather than overwhelming our lobbying people and our people testifying, just hanging with 2 or 3 I had a drainage work group on the 12th. That as well, there's a number of things coming as an advisory to the legislature on drainage, on-land storage, different things coming to a head on what gets to the legislature this year. And I had a District 8 Transportation meeting on the Zoom meeting on the 13th, basically going over the projects for the next few years. I had none personally to comment on. I don't believe Andrew did either. I mean, a lot of it is funding based, so we kind of ride along. So we had the agenda review on Thursday, and brings us up to today. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner, for my activity since our last board meeting. Attended the workshop after our board meeting on the 3rd of October. And then on the Thursday, the 5th, I was able to participate in the Prime West Joint Powers Board meeting through a virtual Zoom. Much of the meeting time was spent explaining how the money from the Reinvest program was distributed to those who asked for grant funding. They explained how they scored the requests and reviewed the requests. Most of the money has been distributed. They still have some discretionary funds available for final distributions now moving forward. But it was a very informative meeting that Prime West hosted for us. And then it brings me to this week. I was fortunate enough to attend the City Council meeting in Silver Lake last night, and I took our Economic Development Coordinator, Liz Danielson, with me as well. The purpose of us appearing in front of Silver Lake City Council was first to make myself available to them for questions and answers and explain a little bit about, navigating our government center and using our facilities and taking advantage of what the county can offer them for services. And secondly, I wanted Liz to present what she can do for the city of Silver Lake regarding economic development. Liz put together a very informative handout that they were very interested in, and producing data from deeds as far as, job opportunities in McLeod County. She also explained some of the what's been happening here in Glencoe with our hotel and our abatements that we're working on, and we were well received. And I want to thank the Silver Lake City Council for that. The questions that the City Council addressed to me mostly surrounded our facility here, moving into the new government center, recycling, and the new cannabis ordinance that we're trying to formulate. They had a great concern about the ordinance that we're working on to make sure it's applicable and easy, for law enforcement to deal with. Moving forward, I think we need to take those considerations take those asks into consideration to make sure we have an ordinance that a small town like Silver Lake and my other towns in my district can work with. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anything from Attorney's Office? Okay, back to our Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A, consider adopting Resolution 23-CB-47, additional staff committee appointments. This resolution appoints Parks and Recreation Manager John Jarabek to the Fairgrounds Commission and Parks Planning Task Force. It also appoints 4-H Program Coordinator Miranda Kempner to the Extension Committee.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'll move Resolution 23-CB-47, additional staff committee appointments.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second that. Motion by Schmalz, second by Wright to adopt Resolution 23-CB-47. Any further discussion? See none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Item B,
Thank you. Consider approving a recommendation from the Evaluation and Personnel Committees to increase the wage grade from 150 to 180 for the McLeod County Sheriff's Office Office Manager position, effective the payroll following this county board action.
Second.
Motion by Nagel, second by Kruger, to consider approving a recommendation from the Evaluation Committee to an increase from grade 150 to 180. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Item C, notification of board workshop following the board meeting on Tuesday, November 7, 2023, here at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota. Item D, notification of board workshop at 9:00 a.m. on Friday, October 27, 2023, at the McLeod County Government Center, 520 Chandler Avenue North, Glencoe, Minnesota.
Okay. We're now to the end of our agenda. We'll be looking for any comments, open forum or press relations before we will go into our closed meeting. Anything at all? Okay, we'll then be looking for a motion to go into a closed meeting.
Mr. Chair, will there be anything to decide after the closed meeting?
Administrator, do you see any decisions coming after this at all?
No, there should not be.
No decisions? Okay.
Move to go into a closed session.
Motion by Kruger, is there a second? Second by Nagel to go into a closed meeting. You need to, go ahead.
No, the motion to close, I think here is in reference to Minnesota Statute 13D.05 subdivision 3 pertaining to matter relating to real estate. So just, thank you.
Thanks for the details. Any further discussion on going into a closed meeting? We'll then proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you.